Hey guys, I wanted to talk to you quickly about setting up OBS or Streamlabs OBS. Are both exactly the same, they just look a little bit different. There's a few small pieces here and there, but once you know how to use one, you'll know how to use both of them. So anyways, I thought I'd just give a few pointers and stuff like that, because I have had questions, so why not do a how-to. The first thing that I would suggest, if you haven't had an automatic setup system, is to go into the settings. This is one of the most important parts when setting up your stream, because it's taking two things into consideration: the hardware of your PC and what your internet can do, and it's basically configuring it perfectly in between quality and performance so you can get the best stream. Before starting this, I would suggest you do a speed test. Now, this isn't a true speed test because it's running through your browser, so it's got all other bits and pieces, but it's not really important. It's just going to give you a basic idea of what your internet connection is like. Now, to do this, I would suggest that you make sure that Steam's not updating, Windows updates aren't updating or anything like that, because downloads and uploads will affect the output of this. Okay, so the download speed is 46.96. The upload, this is the most important part with streaming, is the upload. It's sitting at about 18. Might have frozen, but you get the idea. It's around 18. That comes into consideration with the video bitrate. This is what you're looking at, because you're uploading. If you wanted to, at the moment, 4000 kbps, so that's basically 4 megs, let's just say. Why am I not doing it at 18 megs? Why am I not doing it any higher or whatever? Usually when I stream, I mainly set it to 6000, in between 5000 and 6000, just depending. But there's a few reasons your PC will be encoding video at a higher quality rate, which means it's gonna take a hit to your performance. That's one thing. Also, it's a good way to think of it is your upload is going to be other people's download. You're uploading data and information, and people are downloading that when they're watching that. This is why I say for people with lower internet connections, 1700 to 1800 kbps is probably the optimal setting, because they can produce a video of half decent quality that is watchable. And at the same time, it explains why, even if you could try to put something out that's extremely high quality, like a 16 Mbps, that's like the person on the other side watching your video, downloading it at 16 Mbps, they're going to struggle to watch it because their bandwidth is gonna suffer for that. The reason I mention this isn't really, to be honest, it's not really informing, but I have had people in the past say, I'm uploading at 8 Mbps, but this is why I've never batted an eyelid, because in the end it doesn't really matter. You're gonna, even if you could, I'm pretty sure if Twitch even allowed something above 6000, it might only be for partnered streamers rather than affiliates or whatever, but I highly doubt they would even do that. They'd either just downscale it to what their default output is anyway. Plus, no one's going to watch a stream at that kind of bitrate because their computer will be struggling to download something. So I highly doubt. So like I said, it doesn't matter, but it's kind of the reason that I'm mentioning this is to give you an idea, if you don't kind of understand the schematics of everything, how it kind of works, how it goes together and everything. Most streams are in between 3000 to 6000, depending on other people's connections and what it can do. So I'm just going to set this back to 4000. My audio bitrate, I've just left it as is, 160. if messing around with these too much, you can have a bit of a delayed effect with your audio. Sometimes, in the past, I have streamed with 96. That just drops the quality of the audio, but you can't really tell too much difference. I've got this set to hardware. Software is basically just using your CPU processor to encode the video, whereas using the hardware is using your direct graphics card video hardware. So to find the perfect video bitrate for you, if you've got an upload speed, as you've seen, of 18 megs or over, if you've even got an upload speed of 10 or 11 megs, then you're going to be fine either way. But if you're struggling to output a stream and it's carrying on and it's losing frames and stuff like that, this is where you're going to want to look this part and your video outputs. If you're streaming at 1280 by 720, it's putting out a lower resolution, so it's going to take up less bandwidth. I'm going to use an example here. This is going back probably about a year and a half ago when I moved into a house that only had what the Australians call ADSL2, which it's set so I could only upload at 2 Mbps, and my download was about 20 Mbps. Look, download does take an effect when you're playing an online game, that your download comes into play then, but it's not that much. For example, if you're playing Brawlhalla, you might be uploading a maximum of 50 kilobits per a second or whatever, just so your computer's sending information to the other computer, or your friends' computers or whatever, to tell them where your character is on the screen, that kind of stuff. When you've got a really bad internet connection, like a 2 Mbps download, every little kilobit can affect. So I'm going to show you for an example how to set up one for that kind of internet. So depending, you're gonna want to mess around with, say, 480p. Now, I'll say, why would you stream at 480p? But I have in the past. Like I said, this is if you've got an upload of 2 Mbps or something that's just terrible. 1920 by 1080, well, that's, like I said, keep that as that, because that is your screen. So you're going to put it down to 480. I wouldn't worry about FPS. You can drop it down to 30. It's not going to matter too much. They say that you should set your video bitrate to 80% of your upload speed. So if you've got a 2 Mbps upload, then that means you're going to set this to 1800. And that should be okay. This is where I want to tell you where you can improve small performance issues and stuff like that. Audio bitrate will start to play an effect, so I would say maybe put it down to 96. If you have any problems with how your audio sounds and stuff like that, you can just come back and mess around with it later anyway, it doesn't matter. But video bitrate, I'm gonna take into consideration 100 kbps for small things on, say, a first-person shooter multiplayer game that you're playing, and it's constantly sending and receiving a little bit of data here and there. So I'd set that to, say, 1700. That's going to allow you 100 more kbps for your current internet connection to be able to handle. That's going to stop. That's going to be handy when you're when you find you're lagging in game while you're streaming, but not when you're not streaming. That can affect things like that. The lower the bit rate you go, the more it's going to be pushing out less data, but obviously the opposite if you're going to increase that. So if you set that, and I have done this in the past once again when I was messing around, I set it to 900 kbps. You can end up with frame drops, pauses every couple of seconds, stuff like that. You are going to have like very pixelated stream, but that's where this comes into play. The 480p, the smaller the resolution. Let's just say, for example, that this particular screen is your game. If you're trying to push this out at a low bit rate, it's trying to get all the pixels in that specific area with all that data inside. If you make it smaller, obviously things are going to be cramped a lot more, so the game will look less pixelated, I guess. What I'm saying is, if you mess around with these small things, you could basically turn something that's lagging and skipping and dropping frames into something that's constant at the cost of being slightly blurrier. But you can't really do too much when you've got a terrible internet. That will suffice for most people that have like a 2 or 3 meg upload rate. Recording, I'm just going to put this out there because when I couldn't stream, I started uploading more things to YouTube, trying to keep the content going out there. And also it kind of shows that if you've got a terrible internet but a really fast computer, the difference, you really start to understand all the different bits and pieces. Recording is not going to be affected by your internet. It's basically what your computer can and can't do, because you're, instead of writing to a server somewhere out there, you're writing directly to your hard drive. There's no, the worst point is the worst point of what your computer is, so it's going to be perfect. I would suggest, yeah, if you're gonna record, you can put on high quality. I'd say MP4 is mainly the best these days. Hardware, once again, there is a setting in Streamlabs OBS that it says tick to use the same. I can't actually see it on here, but yeah, tick to use the same as your streaming settings. What I would do is I would click that and put this, just put it straight up to 6000. That way you're going to get the best kind of quality. You could put it to 4000. That's going to affect the size, the file size later on. It's going to make it smaller, and it still look pretty good at 4000 kbps. But yeah, that kind of explains that. On to the next part. How you're going to set up OBS, how to make it register what's going on screen. I've streamed off my laptop before and I plugged in an extra monitor. I really would suggest using a second screen. It does help a lot. As you can see here, I've just quickly set this up to show you guys. This is showing both desktops. The way I usually set my stream up is, so I'll have Streamlabs OBS on this side, and then I will have Streamlabs chatbot, or if you don't want to use a chatbot, you can also just use your Twitch page or something that shows your chat here, so you can moderate it at the same time. But that's the way I've set this up. Some things can come into play when you're setting up a source for display and game capture. I'm going to mention about the differences next. But yeah, I would highly recommend using 2 screens for streaming. It makes things so much, like I said, OBS, Streamlabs OBS, they're both identical. Streamlabs OBS, the way to get this screen is by clicking on the editor. It should be on your left somewhere. I use my own layouts and stuff like that, so I'll possibly teach you guys later if anyone wants to know bits and pieces, maybe using chroma key and stuff like that for sources and stuff like that. For now, I'm going to show you how to set up a basic source, a basic scene here for game display capture. So just get rid of this one. It's on the Facebook Restream one, doesn't matter. Scene 2, so game display, you can name it whatever you want. That's done there. Now sources, that's everything that's going to be in this particular scene, and so on and so forth. If you wanted to add a BRB screen, BRB, whatever. For the games display, because this is going to be the most essential one that you'll be using. I use display capture, that you can choose what monitor you're capturing, and yes, I capture the first monitor as you've seen before, and so I'm going to show you how to do that now. You want to click on add. This part's a little bit different for Streamlabs OBS. You'll go display capture, add existing, display capture. Yours won't say that because if you haven't set it up, it's not going to see it. But you just click OK, and it's going to ask you which one you want to capture, and it's going to show. And as you can see, it's kind of looping it there because it's capturing absolutely everything that's on the screen. This is where editing the screen, moving it around comes into play. Click on one of the corners, you can make it bigger or smaller, you can move it around, that kind of stuff. For this specific video, as you can see down here, I haven't got the toolbar showing. Simply to do something like that, you want to hold your Alt key down and you want to click down on here, and you can move up like that until it disappears. Now, to make it perfect, and you don't have to do this, I usually show my toolbar when I'm streaming. It doesn't really matter to me that much, but you might be editing your webcam or whatever. The webcam's all the same. I might do a how-to later on, how to set up a green screen perfectly and the lighting and all that kind of stuff. Just depends on how this video goes. But yeah, you can also hold shift to stretch it down. Obviously, if you're going to stretch it down, it's going to distort what the image looks like, etc. But yeah, that looks pretty good, like that. Yeah, I'm going to set this up basically for gaming. The reason I use display capture over game capture or window capture is because I personally like to keep this area here perfect, so when you're wanting to change scenes and stuff like that, you know exactly what you're going to get, instead of having Brawlhalla, Crash Bandicoot, Overwatch, like all these different games all the way down to the bottom. It can be kind of annoying, especially when you're live and you're trying to scroll up and down through the thing to look for the right one. Also, it doesn't always work. It might not update or something like that, so that's why I use display capture. But for game capture, for example, you want to create new. Let's call it game 1. I'm not really going to bother with what it is, but what you would do, so you've got this open, up and running. Once again, a good reason to use two screens. If I was to drag this over to the second screen, then run the game on the first screen, the game capture, you could select from here, capture any full screen application. You can change it to specific window. That's where you go to the window and you go down to whatever you're running. So you might be running Brawlhalla and it will show up here. You want to click on that. But yeah, you do have to change it every time you are running a specific game. Once again, display capture is so much easier. Anyways, I'm going to leave that there. I'll remove that. We'll just pretend that it's there using that. This is desktop audio, mic auxiliary. You can add more audio, whatever the hell they are, lol. For example, a media source, you might have pointing to an MP4 or something, a video that plays sound or something like that. You can control the audio of it here. Desktop audio is everything that you're going to hear from your speakers on a basic setup. If you go to settings, properties, okay, so you can change here. You can change like what I'm hearing through the headphones, what I'm hearing through the speakers, and sometimes you might get, depending on how you've set up your computer, you might have your monitor or whatever else there. Device timestamps, that just kind of makes it so if something changes or if you change the scene, it's going to kind of refresh it in a way. Don't quote me on that, but that's what I've kind of found for myself. The cheese song. Don't make fun of me, I don't know. I don't even know what the cheese song is. Okay. So Rubber Brick Studio, you're getting kind of a shout out here. Now I've turned the volume down here because I'm getting ear raped right now. But as you can see, it's coming up to about here on the loudest part. If I was to turn the volume up, it has affected it a little bit. It's pushing it through here. So you want to be aware of what you're putting out through your desktop. See, as I lower the volume, it's lowering what it's picking up at the same time. It's going to make a bit of an effect there. So I usually set up my desktop audio to 20 to 30%, and then I operate this here. I'll put it down to about here. You want the microphone obviously louder than the desktop anyways. As you can see, it's picking up my voice right here. I'm going to turn it down to about there, maybe up to about here. So that's like, I'm using a louder tone here with my voice now. That's perfect kind of range. It's going into the yellow, not too much ear rape. You drop the desktop audio a little bit lower so people can hear you over the game. Small things like sound driver updates and things like that can throw this shit out to whack. So I would suggest make sure that your system is set up perfectly the way you want it. Drivers are updated before you do any of this. Same with the display capture, game capture. Make sure your GeForce or whatever kind of graphics card you've got is all set up perfectly. That way you can't blame the driver and you're looking at OBS directly when you're trying to fix it. If you want to maybe add some graphics or something. So I've already got a lot of graphics on here that I've been stuffing around. As you know, I'm making my own images and stuff like that. I'm going to call this panel. Go to browse. I can't remember exactly what I've got here, but let's have a look in D drive. Is it D drive? Yeah, D drive. There will be stream. Is it overlay? Plank. There we go. So we've got a plank. We'll just use this one, yeah. Remember what I said before, using the Alt button, using the control, the Alt and the Shift button, you can adjust, let's choose the panel, yep. See, when I make these graphics, I usually set them to 1920 by 1080, so I know exactly where they're sitting on the thing and how big they're going to be. You can resize it in OBS, like this. So holding down the Alt button, because you can have, like, even when you're editing, it's so much easier just understanding exactly what you're looking at and stuff like that. Let's put that there for now. You can add text GDI. That's just gonna, I mean, you can make it read off a text document that's sitting on your hard drive, that kind of stuff. Create new, test. There we go. So you can just, you can just set the font, the size of the font, all that kind of stuff. This is where you can set up. With Streamlabs OBS, it doesn't matter as much. It'll automatically have the settings there. You can choose previous follower and all that kind of stuff. But if you're using OBS Studio, read from file, you can use another program. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a Streamlabs. It's another Streamlabs program. You can open the specific text files as Streamlabs saves followers and subscribers and stuff like that, so you can choose that way. But yeah, you don't have to worry about that as much anymore with Streamlabs OBS. You might want to just you might just want to set up the panel and then use the text document to name what your channel is. So I'm going to remove that. But yeah, this is basically already set up to go. If you wanted to add a webcam, I'll show the basics of the webcam, but it doesn't. I'm not going to go into detail at the moment. You want to select video capture device, create new, okay. This is where you can select what you want to capture with. Now, I used to have a Logitech capture card, a Logitech webcam, but now I've got the C922 Pro Stream webcam. They're bloody awesome webcams. The FPS video format's all basically set up for you, whatever. maybe it is that one. Yeah, it's not coming up with the display at the moment because it's already in use for Streamlabs OBS, but usually it'll just show my ugly face right there. Yay. But yeah, that's all your settings there. It's all, to leave it basics the best. I would probably just maybe make it so you're not capturing any audio, because you'd be using a microphone for your other to capture your voice over your webcam, unless you haven't got a microphone or whatever. But as you can see, it's set it here, video capture device. You can just mute it once you've installed your webcam. Remove. But yeah, hopefully that's helped out a few people. I'll show you, as I said before, the last bit, the most important part, finishing up this settings of stream. Is the stream key link. Now don't show anyone this, obviously, that's why it's got dots on there. But say you want to stream to Twitch, for example, connect account, you can connect it. You want to go into your dashboard and make a stream key, put it into here. That's basically like saying what's the password, so you can put whatever's in here to your channel on Twitch. Anyway, I hope I've helped a few of yous out. If there's any questions or anything, just throw them up in the comments and I will do my best to reply to them as quick as I can. I do want to do a few more how-tos, setting up bits and pieces of this, of Streamlabs, OBS, all that kind of stuff. I can show you how to set up notifications and all that kind of stuff. It's all very similar. Notifications or anything that's pulling information, this is also another reason why I set it on a lower connection. You might want to set it to the 1700 or the 6 or whatever, is because whenever you're getting information from the internet, you're downloading. So even if it's just downloading the new follower's name, that's still that's still accessing the internet and using bandwidth. But yeah, you click on there, you'd want to go to, where is it, web, there we go, browser. It's as basic as making an account, getting a URL, a custom URL that's going to print out the information or whatever and put it into an image. That's as simple as that. Usually you just leave it all basic and then you move it around and do whatever it is that you want to do. But yeah, like I said, if there's any questions or you guys want to know anything, I'm gonna actually leave it at this part for now, and I will wait till I get any questions or whatever. I can help you as we go, and hopefully we can cover everything. Thank you so much for watching. If you find that this how-to kind of helped you or cleared up a few small things, bits and pieces here and there, don't forget to drop a like and a subscribe or whatever, or you could just piss off. I was just checking if you. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know how your stream went or your YouTube recording or whatever you're gonna do. Until next time, thank you so much. Woo!